I've made a lot of bold claims in the past. I've said that Dream was the hero of the SMP storyline, that Technoblade was doomed to die, and yet, in this video, I'm going to make what is probably my most daring claim yet. It's so out there, and yet it stares you directly in the face. It's pretty much unavoidable, but no one talks about it. The missing piece of the puzzle, that crucial evidence that we're missing, the thing that will change the way you view the Dream SMP forever. That is, and I'm not joking here, Tubbo. The forgotten history of the Dream SMP that I think I found in this video is crazy and will affect Techno, Dream, Tommy. It'll affect every single character for the rest of the server's lifespan, because Tubbo is not the innocent little b-boy after all. He is the most dangerous and capable character on the whole server. We've recently looked into the future of everyone on the Dream SMP with Carl and Tales from the SMP. We've also talked about the near future and present of our beloved, or at least that's what I think the kids say, Ranbu. But there is one dimension that plays the most hidden role and also the most obvious role on the server: the character's past, or, and this is where it gets tricky, their lack of a past, the forgotten genesis of an SMP that we now know today. Because you see, most characters on Dream SMP simply have no past. That sounds wrong, right? Every character must have a backstory, but hear me out here. They must have come from somewhere, right? Nikki wasn't just snapped into existence inside a bakery out of nothing but space dust or something. Surely they had a home before this, a life before this, perhaps even an origin, but that's a theory for another video. They came from somewhere, but they don't remember where. They were someone before they became who they are on the Dream SMP server. Really, if you think about it, we don't know anything about most of these characters from before L'Manberg times. But how can those seemingly very contradictory things be true at the same time? How can we psychoanalyze and pick apart the reasons for Wilbur's actions without knowing something as basic as where he came from? And how does Tubbo fit directly in the middle of this whole mess of a canon storyline? Let me explain. Tubbo has somehow recovered incredibly dangerous knowledge hidden in his own past, and he's now capable of doing things that should be completely impossible on the Dream SMP server. Not even he knows how, but for some insane reason, Tubbo is able to do complex science and technology that literally goes beyond the natural boundaries of vanilla Minecraft. Tubbo is somehow able to do things that are genuinely just not possible to do, and I truly believe the reason for this lies within his hidden memories, and that uncovering his forgotten past is going to give us an idea of who character Tubbo could become in the future, unless someone stops him in time. Let's hold on to that for a second and start this conspiracy where every character's journey on the Dream SMP starts. When a new member joins the SMP, they seemingly just appear in the lands, wandering into an already existing, sometimes more, sometimes less thriving community of people. Established characters will tour them around and give a little bit of backstory before leaving the newcomer to their own devices to explore and set themselves up for their new life on the Dream SMP. So far, so obvious. This is something we've seen plenty of times before, and it's actually usually not even a lore event, so it's easy to dismiss. But that would be an oversight, a crucial mistake even. Because suddenly, there are a few, and I mean surprisingly very few characters that have started remembering where they're from, even bringing up the issue of missing pasts in the first place. It's so few characters that they can be counted on one hand. There's Puffy, who suddenly and seemingly out of nowhere recalls a past amongst a crew on a ship, only to discover the wreckage of said ship she captained stranded not too far off the mainlands. There's Eren, who in a cinematic display remembered his childhood, including presumably dead parents, no one till Techno, and a friendship with Tommy that both of them apparently forgot about somehow. Then there's Foolish and Eret. Foolish claims that where they came from, they were some sort of badass assassin duo, but Eret does not remember this at all. There's Fundy, who was born in L'Manberg, which, do not get me started on the timeline here, that's a whole nother can of worms that I'm not willing to open right now. And lastly, there's Bill, who is the one full exception because he can hop between the Dream SMP and his hardcore world, which canonically is where he's from, or at least where he spends most of his time still. These 5 glimpses into characters' pasts are the limited ideas we have of what exists outside of the Dream SMP dimension. Other than Funny and Phil, who have all the memory because, well, they're simply built different, these characters have to push through actual memory blockades to unearth their own personal histories and present them to us, the viewers. Even nearing almost 2 years into the server, pretty much only these characters have been able to do that. Wait. Let's talk about those memory blockades for a second though, because memory loss is such an extremely prevalent theme throughout the SMP, no matter where you look. You can't go 2 steps without bumping into some SMP amnesiac frantically monologuing just off the prime path. Of course, Ranbu and Carl come to mind. They have such problems with losing their memories that they even have to write down their most basic facts about themselves and the people closest to them in order to not forget. So then, what is the reason for this massive memory loss problem that plagues every single character on the Dream SMP? Now, if you see my Ranbu is overpowered video, you know all about Ranbu's time traveling powers that that were recently quote-unquote revealed. You're probably typing in the comments already like, hey, obviously the only logical reason both Ranboo and Carl are so forgetful is just because the in-between, and we know the in-between makes you forget things if you're in it for too long, so of course, naturally, they forget things. Case closed, video over. Subscribe. I'm joking. And you would be right, dear hypothetical commenter, if it wasn't for the literal endless supply of characters with the same problem that don't time travel. Yeah, I said it, I don't think that every single character on the Dream SMP is a time traveler, so if you had that video on your card, I'm very sorry to disappoint you. Anyway, outside of Carl and Ranboo, other characters also can't recall their past. Sure, there's Eren and Poppy, who only recently managed to regain some of their memories, but there's also everyone else who is still entirely in the blue about where they spent the first years of their lives before joining the Dream SMP. Characters like Eret or Hannah or Boomer or Tubbo. Hold on, let's take a second to explore Tubbo a little further, shall we? Because Tubbo is an extremely interesting case. I might even argue he has some of the most important lore ever with the biggest implications for other characters, and yet it seems like he's just one of the many people where we don't know much about him. But I think I know exactly where Tubbo came from, and it's not where you might think. You see, Tubbo currently lives with his ghost husband and unkidnapped zombie piglin son, which is a long story, but before that, Tubbo actually lived in a little town he built himself called Snowchester. In a few words, Snowchester is quaint, it's small, it's homey, it's cozy. Oh, and also, it's the most powerful place on the server. Yeah, don't believe me? In a world where the laws of Java Minecraft draw the line at swords and shields, not the Pokemon variety, the only way to be strong is to be good at PvP. Dream, Techno, Sapnap, the SMP has a few very capable PvPers that are naturally at the top of the server hierarchy. That was, of course, until Tubbo began launching literal nuclear weapons from his idyllic little log cabin village. Yeah, thanks to Tubbo, nukes are canon on the Dream SMP. That's not a sentence I ever thought I'd say, which raises a bunch of questions along the lines of, wait a second, how is he able to do that? Minecraft doesn't have bombs the last time I checked, so let's trace back the real origins of character Tubbo, shall we? He canonically joined the server with Tommy, sure, but in the flashbacks from Eren's lore, we never see them as kids. While some people are obviously hardcore dad Schlatt truthers, there is no canonical confirmation that the characters J Schlatt and Tubbo are related, nor would that really even solve anything here. So, family, childhood, that's a dead end for now. Instead, to try and unearth where Tubbo might have originated from, I want to take a look at what makes him special, like with Captain Puffy, who, surprise surprise, found out she used to be the captain of a ship. Surely there must be something glaringly obvious about Tubbo aside from the fan and goat appearance that again is not canonical. Well, there is something that Tubbo likes a lot, the creator, not the character that is. He loves his ancient Minecraft mod packs, those 1.12 mechanical mods if you know what I mean. The infamous Big Dig server, damn you Frank and your unstoppable girl boss wound, is just one example alongside seemingly countless modded servers that he started or joined over his years of content creation. In specific then, mods with heavy machinery and intricate automation have Tubbo smitten, enough to spend almost a full day of his subathon building a brand new modded server from the ground up. The more complicated, the more outlandish, the better. If it still looks and works like regular Minecraft, it's not fun enough for Tubbo. Now, why exactly is this relevant? Okay, remember when I named the few people whose past has been somewhat, kind of, but not really explored, and how one of them was Phil, who dimension hopped over from his beloved hardcore series? He's retained not just his love for building beautiful and elaborate structures from his hardcore time, but also the hardcore effect has carried over. Phil on the Dream SMP has one life due to his origin in another server. He is who he is on the Dream SMP because of who he used to be on another server. Stay with me here. Now, would it be so far-fetched to think that someone else would retain deep subconscious memories and ideas from their past outside the SMP? Memories of how to build impossible things and come up with crazy and new technologies. Someone with the innate ability to create what should not be created, and that this someone could be Tubbo. Tubbo on the Dream SMP has truly no reason to be able to just invent, let alone build atomic bombs all of a sudden. He's a kid, and all he's seen of the server in his time has been L'Manberg fighting, Manberg more fighting, New L'Manberg, and then you guessed it, more fighting, until he said screw it and simply left to make his own little place far away from everyone. Only at that point, the experience and frankly trauma of those many wars and betrayals have Tubbo so scared and angry that he cannot simply resign and live out a cozy 18-year-old's retirement. No, he knows the dangers of the Dream SMP and how powerful some of those people are. Perhaps it was seeing Dream, Techno, and Phil's high-tech TNT grid that reminded him of something. Maybe the memory just came to him in a, I don't know, dream, pun intended. Or maybe it's his extreme big brain 5-head intellect that figured it out again, drawing subconsciously on skills he learned elsewhere. Whatever the true inciting incident was, in the end, one way or another, Tubbo tapped into his past on one of the modded servers and recovered the plan and technical know-how to invent and construct a never before unforeseen weapon. Somehow, he remembered how to build complicated machinery that, and I'm stating this again to really make you understand how crazy this all is, should be impossible in vanilla Minecraft. The Dream SMP server should not be able to produce anything close to what Tubbo made with the nukes, and yet he literally managed to break the canonical laws of the world and invent a weapon of mass destruction. Hold that thought though, because there's something even more sinister here. Puffy's lore changed drastically once she realized that she had a whole past that she's forgotten about. It might be a bit much to say her whole character got revamped, but she's definitely not the same person that she used to be before. Characters she used to interact with, even her own canonical fiancé Nikki, seem irrelevant to her now, as it's all about her own past. The same thing happened with the relationship between Foolish and Eret once their past together was brought up. Eret has definitely not been the same ever since, and she's been almost confused and distant from people. There's gotta be some big lore cooking here that's ready to set some things in motion pretty soon. At the moment, we haven't even seen Eren do lore on the server again since his big backstory reveal, but it's safe to assume and piece together from cryptic Q&A sessions that he will have an entirely new view on things now that he can remember where he came from. With all his revelations, that'll probably impact Tommy as well, which in turn will impact Wilbur, which in turn will impact Quackity, which in turn will impact— you see where I'm going with this. Even just one character remembering one small detail about their past creates a server-wide domino effect that literally changes characters' entire motivations and morals completely. So then, what about Tubbo? Well, he definitely has undergone some changes since inventing his nukes. He's gained a lot of confidence, but he's also a lot more, no other way to say it, ruthless. When he thought Eret might have kidnapped his child, he immediately went to confront them and possibly hurt or even kill them. The old Tubbo, the one that pretty much just did Wilbur and Tommy's bidding, no questions asked, he would have never done such a thing. But the new Tubbo, the one who has the impossible ability to create the server's first and only atomic bombs out of thin air, he can literally do whatever he wants without having to fear any consequences, because there is nothing on the server that's more dangerous than what he can create, and no one else who's capable of creating it. Tubbo is literally untouchable, but right now, that is just a tiny little idea of what he can do. So far, it seems like Tubbo isn't even aware of where these abilities and memories came from. He doesn't question why he suddenly knows how to work with nuclear technology. He hasn't even created more nukes after the second one got stolen. This missing awareness, I'd say, is the only reason why the server is still safe, because if atom bombs are just surface level knowledge, what else is stored in Tubbo's memory? What else can he invent? What else can Tubbo do? We've seen the change with other characters remembering their past. Who's to say that B-Boy wouldn't change as well? Maybe even change for the worse. The point is, memory loss and memory recovery on the Dream SMP has already messed with quite a few characters. It's an incredibly powerful tool and motivator, especially if that knowledge is of complex machinery and weapons of mass destruction. I can only speculate how Tubbo's character would be different with all of his past memories from modded servers regained, but I have a feeling it wouldn't be that good. That much knowledge and power in the hands of a kid who has gone through and lost so much, the hands of someone who's already shown that he can be merciless if it feels like he has to be, with the full means and motive to use his deadly past, Tubbo could become the most powerful and basically unstoppable character on the entire server. Forget the Blade, forget Dream. Neither of them stands a chance against someone whose most basic memory is nuclear weapons 101. Tubbo is already at the point where he can create nuclear weapons, but he is not at the point where he would just use them. Not yet, at least. But if he ever does regain more than just surface memories, there's only guessing what Tubbo would become, and how long the server would survive with that version of him. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Tubbo's hidden dark past, you should check out this video about the Dream SMP secret villain. Subscribe!